Good morning. Welcome to Speaking of Animals. I'm Amy Carotenuto from Flagler Humane Society. I have a special guest today, all the way from California. We have Susan Riggs with us. She is the Senior Director of Housing Policy for the ASPCA. Good morning, Susan. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, I really wanted to talk today with you about some special legislation that I think is kind of near and dear to us in animal welfare. It's called the PUPP Act, Providing for Unhoused People and Pets Act of 2025. It was also introduced in 2023, and Susan will have you tell us a little bit more details about that. But basically, the gist of it is, we always want to keep families together with their, two-legged and four-legged and winged and everything together. So, as far as people that are having housing issues, nobody should be forced to give up their four-legged friend just so that they can have a roof over their head. So that's where this legislation comes in, and I'm hoping you can tell us all about it, Susan.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm more than happy to. Shall I kick off now?
Please do.
Okay. Yeah. So, the ASPCA has been focused on the area of housing for quite some time. Obviously, today in particular, we're just seeing, shelters over capacity. And, one large reason for that is folks having to surrender their pets. And one of the top reasons that has been cited for surrenders is housing-related issues. And obviously that impacts people in a variety of different ways. And, one particular population that we see affected very deeply is in the folks that are experiencing housing instability and are unhoused and living on the streets. Oftentimes they may have been living there for a long time. They may have experienced some trauma in their lives that have caused them to end up on the streets. In fact, among women, domestic violence is the number one cause of homelessness among folks. So, there's a variety of different reasons, but, the reality is that for all of these folks, the love and the companionship that they get from their pet is no different than someone that is better resourced. And so, we're really focused on making sure that, when they experience, an emergency situation, when they're living on the streets, that they don't have to turn away housing because that shelter cannot accept their pet. And so that's really the idea behind the PUPP Act is really just making sure that shelters that are willing to accommodate pets have the resources to create those. And, the reality is in, most cases, when homeless shelters were built originally, we hadn't really caught up with the idea of how important pets are to people.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of those shelters were not constructed with pets in mind and really were not designed to accommodate pets. But we know now that, it's a very cost-effective solution to removing this very significant barrier for those that are living on the streets with their pets, that we can retrofit these facilities and make sure that the accommodations are there when somebody does have emergency housing needs and has a pet with them. So this is really important legislation at the federal level. We've got two really significant models that we've worked from in designing the bill. One is the PAWS Act, which folks might be familiar with, that really is focused on individuals experiencing domestic violence. That really provides funding for domestic violence shelters in particular to provide services and accommodations to survivors of domestic violence that have pets. That's run through the USDA, so it's the model for what we're looking at for the PUPP Act as well. That USDA would run that program. They're very familiar with having implemented the PAWS Act for several years now, so it's a good home for that. The other program is out of California, not coincidentally. It was called the PASS program, and that's the Pet Assistance and Support Program. And the state of California has allocated now over 3 budget years a total of $16 million to help retrofit homeless shelters and domestic violence shelters to accommodate pets. And so these are existing shelters that, the operators understand the importance of, accommodating pets and how that really removes a barrier for, particular people that are living on the streets. And the program has been enormously popular among the operators of the homeless and DV shelters. It's been oversubscribed every single grant cycle, 2 to 1. I mean, we could have, helped so many more people if we just had more money. But very, very popular program, and it's a great model for what we're trying to do here at the federal level, so we can reach more people.
Because the PUPP Act is, like you say, in a sense, it's grant money to organizations that can either offer housing or other types of support. I know it also talks about help with veterinary care, so it's help in a lot of different directions for folks, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea here is that, we don't just want to get people off the street for, streets for a few days. We really want to set them up for success, and understanding that their pets are really an integral piece of that, to their success and to their stability and their happiness, and, the reason they get up every morning. And so we need to make sure that the pets are taken care of too. Many of those pets have been on the streets since they were babies. They may not have the social skills to live indoors, and so we can help with that. We also know that maybe they're not getting the veterinary care on the streets that they might otherwise get, and so we want to provide some support for veterinary care for basic needs, shots and rabies and spay and neuter and those types of things, to make sure that they can live indoors and aren't presenting any problems for the broader community that's living there. So it enables shelter, homeless shelter, and providers either constructing new properties or retrofitting their existing properties to specifically provide accommodations for pets, but then beyond that, provide some services to really make sure that we're setting both the pets and the people up for success so that they can get into permanent housing down the road.
I love this on so many levels. I feel like a lot of us can be judgy, when it comes to folks that have found themselves to be homeless. And I hear it. I hear it a lot. They don't deserve to have their pet and that kind of thing. And that's nothing could be further from the truth. I think some of these folks that are experiencing hardships, their pet's even more important to them, because in a lot of cases we see their pet's the only thing in their life, and so it's so important to keep, obviously, like I said earlier, we want to keep everybody together. We want all families to stay together. But in this case, I really root for these folks that are temporarily homeless to be able to keep their pets. Like you said, sometimes these pets aren't terribly well socialized, so having them turned into a shelter is difficult. Sometimes it's difficult to find them a new home instead. And pets don't care about a fancy house and your fancy car. They just want to be with you. So your home is where your pet is. You are your pet's home. So I really hope that this legislation goes far. Do you have any feel for it? Do you think there's any chance that it will be successful on its first, on this time around?
Well, I mean, we're not, we certainly aren't discounting the opportunity to move it through the legislature. I mean, just in the introduction, we've got, a strong bipartisan sponsorship on the bill. And of course, at this, in this day and age, you have to have a bipartisan package in order to, move a bill. So, we feel very optimistic for that reason. We've got Representative Crow, Fitzpatrick, Pedersen, and Waller all signed on already. Obviously, we're looking for more support for the bill and hope that we can get more co-sponsors on board, and we can talk more about how listeners can help us with that as well.
Yes, let's do that. We got to take a quick break, but I definitely want to come back and talk more about that. Thanks, Susan. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Speaking of Animals. I'm Amy Carotenuto here with Susan Riggs from all the way from California from ASPCA. I did not introduce my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful canine co-host this morning. I'm going to show a picture for anybody that's watching us on YouTube. Okay, that is, we've named her Rose, but she also is nicknamed Piglet. So that horrible picture that you can hardly tell, that is her face. Rose is probably a Shih Tzu. She came into us from a home. She actually lived in a nice house, which proves like a nice house does not mean it's a good home. Rose came into us so badly matted. She could barely eat. She could barely walk. She probably couldn't hear. She really couldn't see very well. Just mats, and that's it's abuse. It's very, very usually not intentional abuse at all. It's just, sometimes owners either health issues or, medical issues of whether it's age or I don't want to get in trouble here saying anything, but sometimes people just can't keep up and they don't mean to abuse their pets, but that is abuse. A dog that is that badly matted is abused. So now you can hopefully see her sitting here in the studio next to me. She's such a good girl. She's probably about a 7 or 8 year old Shih Tzu, really, really friendly. She's got a great appetite now that she can eat well again, but all she needed was just to be groomed, and she's doing great. But she's going to be up for adoption at the Humane Society at One Shelter Drive. We're open 7 days a week, and I know we're gonna have people fighting over her because she is a deer. So anyway, so that's Rose, also known as Piglet. So we'll come back to you now, Susan. You get second billing for a minute there after Rose.
She deserves top billing.
So just tell us a little bit more about the PUPP Act, and maybe if people want to help support that and let their legislators know that they do support this, what's their best steps?
Yeah, I mean, what we find oftentimes is, the most persuasive voice in the conversation are, number one, constituents. That's really, really important is, that members of Congress hear directly from the folks that are voting in their district, but also people who have had very specific experiences with this. Maybe a family member has been affected, maybe you've been affected, maybe, somebody that you visit downtown has been affected. And so, hearing those stories is really, really important. We have been working really hard since last introduction to create a pretty broad coalition. We've got over 150 organizations now signed on that are, both animal welfare, human services, housing organizations, you name it. It's really, very diverse in terms of the recognition of the importance of this type of intervention. And we'd really like to add to that, individual voices of constituents within, key congressional districts. So where you guys are located, Representative Fine is the congressperson, and we would love to have listeners reach out to Representative Fine and encourage him to sign on. However, maybe not everybody is in his district, and so that we do have a really handy tool on our website, aspca.org/lookup, all one word, LOOKUP, and you can just put in your address, and it will pull up, your members of Congress and your members of your state legislature. And so you can just go directly to your members of Congress and encourage them to come on as a co-sponsor or tell them your stories, and just reach out to them and really encourage them to engage on this bill and, and speak to them about the importance to you of this bill passing.
Very good. Yes. I hope people will do that. We always want everybody to get involved. I know, it was a few years ago, we went out with one of our veterinarians, went to one of the homeless camps and helped, just vaccinate all the animals. We did some heartworm tests and gave out heartworm prevention, and everybody just do your part and help each other,
Yeah.
And I know you have, besides the PUPP Act, that's not the only thing you're working on, right? Uh,
Right. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. So my
so,
sole role is around housing interventions. Again, just reiterating, we're seeing so many housing related surrenders right now. And there's a variety of reasons for that. But I mean, we do really see that lower income people and communities of color are disparately impacted by the lack of HUD inclusive housing. And so we're really working to um, find creative solutions for the barriers that exist. And, one of the things we're seeing, especially among renters, are, no pet policies or, significant restrictions on the types of pets. So they come in a variety of different flavors, pet deposits that may or may not be refundable at the end of the lease term, pet rent, which is a monthly charge that gets tacked on top of the rent, and then pet fees that may be upfront or on a regular basis that are not refundable. And in some cases, property owners are charging all three of those. And so when tenants are already struggling to pay the rent, and then there's all of these costs on top of that, it becomes a big concern, and that's really resulting in a lot of impact. So we've tackled that in a number of areas, but most recently in Colorado, we've capped the amount of pet rent and pet deposits that can be charged. The other thing that we also did in Colorado, we've done in Nevada and California, Los Angeles, a variety of different places, is recognizing the disparate impact on lower income households. We're seeing that one particularly important intervention is with state or publicly financed affordable housing. So whether it's at the state level, the federal level, the local level, when there's public funds going into a property, we want to make sure that pets don't get left out of that.
for sure.
And what we were seeing more and more was that these properties were excluding pets or had significant restrictions. And so we're really working now to make sure when those public investments are made that it's not ending up impacting families negatively, impacting the shelters negatively, impacting the communities negatively. We want to make sure that that's a positive investment for everyone involved. And so in Colorado, we just passed a law, HB 25-1207, that requires all of the state financed housing to include pets. Did the same thing for supportive housing in Nevada this year. In California, all state financed affordable housing is pet friendly now. So, we're kind of just ticking off the states and hoping that we can do more of that, knowing that these public investments are really key to ensuring that we're not making a bigger impact to an already struggling shelter system, and that we're keeping the pets with their people.
Very good. So good. So good. So we are going to have to take a really quick break, and we're going to come right back. Welcome back to Speaking of Animals. So Susan, lots of great information today. Thank you so much. And so if people are interested in helping or just interested in getting more information on this, can you tell them best place to go?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a couple of different areas on our website where you can learn more both about the PUPP Act and then also removing barriers to pets and housing generally. So if you want to sign up for advocacy through our website, go to aspca.org/PUPPACT, PUPPACT, and you can sign up there. You can get more information. You can stay engaged in upcoming benchmarks and that sort of thing. And then generally, if you're wherever you are and you see opportunities to engage with either local, state, or federal leaders and would really like to explore opportunities to remove barriers to keeping pets and housing with their people, feel free to go to aspca.org/housing, and you can dig in pretty deeply to some of the solutions there, and obviously reach out to me or to the ASPCA if we can be helpful in any way.
Thank you so much, Susan. I really, really appreciate you being part of the show today and all of your wealth of information. And I just have to, again, reintroduce the pup that I have here with me. We're calling her Rose, but also sometimes we call her Piglet. My sweet little girl here. I think she's getting nervous. It's starting to storm and she's getting a little nervous. But she's such a good girl. She seems to be house trained, came into us so badly matted that now she feels like she's got a whole new life, and she's just good with other animals. She loves to be just held and snuggled, and I think she's going to have people fighting over her. So if you're interested in her, make sure you come see us soon, flaglerhumanesociety.org, or 386-445-1814, or better yet, just come see her. We're open 7 days a week. We're open till 5, except for Mondays and Fridays. We're open till 7. So come see Rose and all of her other friends at the shelter. Thank you so much for listening today. We really appreciate it, and we will talk again soon.